Hello, everyone. My name is Jade Frazier. I am the social media manager here at Commit Agency, and welcome to Rebel Reels. I am super duper excited to have with me the amazing Lanny Ward. Lanny is our creative director here at Commit Agency. Hello.
Hi, Jade.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good.
Of course. Really excited to dive into this topic because it's obviously everything we do. It's who we are. It's what we do for our clients. So we're going to talk today a little bit about branding. So first, let's start off with what is the definition of a brand?
Well, I mean, traditionally a brand, where it started was with cattle ranchers and things over a century ago. And so people would, they didn't want their cattle to be lost out when they're, driving them from one place to another. And so they would physically brand them with a unique mark, which had become now a logo. We call it a logo. But it was a unique mark for the ranch or whatever. So there was like whatever ranch, and they would have a unique sign, and they would physically brand that into the cattle so that it was identifying which cattle were there. So it's more just an identification in the beginning. But over time, it's sort of become a lot more than just who are you or whose are you or that kind of thing, and become more about a brand is kind of expanded to become more about not just who you are. But what you're all about, and what are your attributes, what is your personality, what is your specific place in life that makes you unique, that makes your company specifically unique, and to try to connect that with the potential customer.
So with that, talk to me a little bit about branding, brand versus brand definition, because from my understanding, those are two different things, two different concepts. So for those who are watching that have no idea what those two terms are, can you break those down for us a little bit?
I'll try. But, yeah, I think what I described originally is that's just branding, right? You're just putting a mark on something or creating a logo. So a logo is a brand, that's branding. That's just your logo, your colors, kind of how you physically appear out in the marketplace, on the website, the colors, the fonts, that kind of thing. That would just be creating branding for a company, right? Brand definition, that goes a little deeper, or brand discovery is something that you might hire an agency like us to, yeah.
Plug!
Like us, of course, not somebody else. But to hire them to go through this process where you kind of discover what you're all about, your mission, your vision, your values, sort of taking apart and rediscovering what your company is all about, what makes you tick, what are your personality traits, your mission, vision, values, but then also getting even into why you do what you do and why that's important. And that's the hardest thing to get to with a company is, why do you exist and what makes you unique?
Give us some advice about where's that sweet spot? What are some tips on staying on a brand, but then also making sure you're up to date with the times, the trends, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, obviously trends are important because, you want to kind of tap into that if people are looking at it. And so you say, well, eyeballs are going here, so let's make sure that we capitalize on it. But then you want to bring your brand personality into it. So let's say your brand is humorous and fun and whatever, that makes it a little easier to kind of jump on a brand that's trending, that it's got that similar kind of humor. But if your brand is more serious and more highbrow, then you might want to think twice about it. But there are things that are trending too in that space that this is perfect for us. And so we really need to, let's attach ourselves to this trending topic and, connect with maybe a different audience, or kind of widen your scope.
Why is it so important to maintain your brand?
Yeah, maintaining your brand is one of the hardest things to do, because there's so many challenges to running a company. And if you have a product that is doing well, that's great, but how do you keep people engaged with it?
Sure.
And so how do you keep people coming back? I mean, how do you reward them for loyalty? But also, how do you constantly change, but also stay the same? That's one of the hardest things to do, is to change with the times in a sense, but stay the same. So everything is related to who you are as a company and why you exist. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is for a company to understand why they do what they do. Because if they can connect that with people that understand that, then that's a match made in heaven. Then they'll follow you anywhere. And you can even charge. Usually you can even charge more for your product or service because they believe in what they're doing.
Right.
They believe, because you're connected with certain causes or different things that they're also a part, have an affinity for.
Right.
So that's awesome when they can do a good job of that.
It's almost like we as humans, we have the core of who we are as people, but we have to change, we have to adapt, we have to learn, and we have to grow. So I feel like that's kind of an example of a brand. To your point, stick to who you are, but you also have to be willing, right. To change and want to change.
That's a good point.
Thank you. Well, guys.
Thank you, Jade.
You're welcome. Thank you guys so much for watching Rebel Reels, and make sure you follow us at Commit Agency, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.